Just do the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that looks like. Yeah,
We good.
we straight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we already here anyway, so um,
Yeah, we
I
can.
was trying to do something.
I just want to make sure I don't lose my background.
Man, nobody want to see that foolishness, man. Stop
No,
playing.
It's
I
kind of
just want to
making my
Stop
make
playing,
stomach
man.
hurt.
Man.
make sure you
Yeah,
see that.
yeah. You got this man's stomach hurting. He a guest
That,
on the show, man. Come on now, show some respect. You know, what are you thinking about? Oh, now you think y'all gonna come back like the New York
Hey
Knicks
man,
after all these
the
seasons? Y'all
Knicks
gonna
did
come
it.
back?
We next. We
Yeah,
next.
if the
Oh,
Knicks
okay.
did it, y'all, cause y'all know y'all leading it right now. That team that's like really y'all South America's team, but you know who hasn't won a championship in a long time and still fight.
Hey man,
But
we
it's
can talk
cool.
about other stuff, man.
Yeah,
Hey
we
man,
talk about other stuff.
stick to the podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, people? We back. Hey, we got a good guest today. Retired Lieutenant Marcus Lewis joined the Navy in 1996 from Monroe, Louisiana. He was a YN on subs. Once he made chief, put in an LDO package and converted over to an LDO admin type. Um, did 22 years, retired in 2018, and he's currently employed with the government doing strategic systems programs. Hey, Marcus, thanks for coming on, man, talking with us and sharing your experiences with us after you retired.
hey, thanks for having me, Ty.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Before we dive in, man, you say Monroe, Funroe. What's this all
Exactly.
about? Monroe, like Funroe. What's Monroe, Louisiana like?
So, man, I'm gonna tell you, it's population on about 56, but we still have a lot of high schools. 56,000.
Oh,
56,000.
I'm
Oh,
about to
oh,
say
oh, oh,
56
okay.
Yeah,
people.
56,000.
56.
We still have a lot
56
of high
people?
schools, so it's a big little city, right? Of course, all the black people pretty much know one another. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, it's kind of divided. You know, a lot of black folks stay on the south side, and a lot of white folks stay on the north.
Uh-huh.
But still a pretty neat town.
Yeah.
Good folk back there. You know, unfortunately, the mentality, is of any other small town, right?
Uh-huh.
But good town. I love it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, at one point, I was considering trying to go back and be the mayor, but
Yeah.
nah, I lost those aspirations.
Really?
Yeah.
Like was this after you retired or while you still was active duty?
So I was thinking about while I was on active duty,
Uh-huh.
right? And then, matter of fact, I have a good friend that's in politics, and we were kind of talking about it. But at the same time, my family a little crazy. So if you're
Yeah.
talking about the mayor, you ain't gonna be talking about my cousin. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So
right. You got some
I
some
said I better
history
leave that
behind
alone.
y'all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some things is better kept, as they are.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what's up. So sub community, like when you joined, I did you had no idea what you was getting into, or you just like submarines? Yeah, it sound cool. Let's do it.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Todd. Coming in the Navy, I had no idea I was going to go to the Navy. Um, I did decent in high school, but not to the point where I knew I was going to do well. My dad was hard working. He had a little money set aside for me, and I said, you know what? I'm going to college for the wrong thing, so let me not mess my dad's money up. So I'm working at Popeyes my senior year, and I'm back there doing the chicken, and I'm flirting with all the little ladies, and they know Marcus and everything, and I've got it going on.
Right.
Until this brother walked in his summer whites.
Mm.
Brother walked in, it was like Marcus who?
Marcus who?
Girl, you see him, girl, you see him. And I come around the corner like, what's all the fuss about?
Right,
He get
right.
free
You trying to
food.
you trying to figure out who's stealing my shine.
Exactly. He getting free food. I'm like, shoot, let me go ahead and see what's going on. I said, hey man, you in the Navy? He said, yeah. And he started the line. I said, no, you already got me sold with the girls and the free food. Come on, lie to my parents. And that's really how I got in the Navy, to be totally honest with
For
you, man.
real.
So luckily I could swim, so that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, you asked a question about being a Samaritan. So the only thing I heard was being a Samaritan, you get extra money a month. I'm like, sounds good to me. It was $50. They got me with
For
$50.
$50.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so, then of course you don't know much about the Navy. There's no girls on it. What?
Yeah.
But to be honest, that probably was a good thing for me because I was more focused, right? And so it turned out to be a really good experience for me. Although you only had about eight blacks on there, no
Yeah.
one in the Chiefs quarters or the wardroom that was black, right? So, but it didn't matter for the crew
Yeah.
I was on. My experience, I had a really good experience with the guys that kind of showed me, took me under their wing, and of course they didn't look like me, right?
Yeah.
So it was a good experience being on a submarine. Everybody got to know more than one job, and the crew is very close. The camaraderie on most
Yeah.
submarines are very high. So it was a good experience for me.
Really?
Where,
And
where,
then
where,
once I
where was your
once I,
sub
I
stationed out of?
volunteered, I couldn't say no. I don't want to do this because I didn't want to like be a quitter. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
stayed with it. That's probably the best move I made in the Navy to just stand into a mariner until I got commissioned.
So how many subs were you on, and where were they stationed at?
First was out of Bangor, Washington. Then I went down to Millington. That's where I met our boy Big Hop. Then
Mm-hmm.
from Millington, Tennessee, went out to San Diego. Was on the USS Portsmouth. And then from the Portsmouth, I brought it over to Norfolk, and DCOM did. And that's when I went and taught the YMPN school. So only two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow.
One fast boat and one Trident submarine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the
Okay.
quick version because I know there was some things you can't talk about that subs do underneath the ocean, but you had some deployments under your belt on those subs, I'm sure, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, we on the Trident submarine, we do something called nuclear deterrent patrols, right? And we actually just go out and hide and wait for wait. And of course, the fast boats actually go and do other little things. So both of them, their missions were unique. I had more fun on the fast boat. Why? Because Tridents kind of pull out and pull back in, whereas fast boat they go on deployments and visit ports. So I had more fun on the fast boat.
Okay.
But do they deploy? Do they hit more ports on the fast
Absolutely.
boats?
Absolutely.
Oh,
More than Tridents. Yeah, more than
Okay.
Tridents. But yeah, so if you go on the Westpac, you're gonna hit, we hit Australia, we hit Japan,
Yeah.
Korea, Singapore,
Yeah.
Sasebo. So we got Korea. Yeah, we did some things.
Mm-hmm.
So being a
And,
young
and,
guy, I think going to Trident, unless you have a family, because a Trident submarine schedule is more set. Whereas a fast boat, hell, you may come in today and say, "Hey, you pack your stuff, we leaving tomorrow," and you don't even know that. Right?
Really?
Oh yeah, it happened several times. So that's the reason why older gentlemen, older sailors, and those that have families tend to want to be on Tridents because their schedule is set for probably like the next 2-3 years. Almost to the day when you're leaving and coming back.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
okay.
That's pretty dope, man. Like my son was on sales for a small period of time.
Okay.
About 3 years. Nah, about 3 years. So hey, that's longer than I have.
Right.
Because I was an air crewman. I came in as an air crewman, and we used to
Okay.
chase subs. Well, we think we was chasing them.
Right.
Like when we doing, certain like exercises and stuff
Yep.
like that, and then you couldn't tell us nothing. Like, oh yeah, we got him, and not knowing later on is like they let us like gonna let y'all have some fun and feel like
Is it me or Ty breaking up?
It's Ty.
Ty, you breaking up a little bit.
it was no. A lot of people can't. I know. I can't say I wouldn't have done it. What happened?
You were breaking up
breaking
a
up.
little bit.
Oh, okay.
And you blurry.
Really?
I actually
Told
wish
you
you
get
were
that
blurry,
bias.
JP, so I didn't have to see that star.
Oh, you want me
That's
to
what
move?
I agree on.
You want me to move out the way?
There we go.
I can do it from right here. I can just,
Yeah.
tell me how you want to do it.
Nah. Don't upset our stomach. Don't upset our stomach.
Right.
Is that better or still the same?
That's better.
That's better.
Is it? Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
Oh, okay.
You just look like Bernie Mac every once in a while.
It's been- I'm on something trying to find.
Now you pause with your eyes closed and your
It-
mouth open.
It's
So, matter of fact, let me share one other thing while Ty get it together. There is my first submarine, I found my love for all kinds of music, right? So it's me in the Yomi Shack. It's usually only three guys in the Yomi Shack. You have a LPO, which is a first class or a chief, and a second class. And of course, at that time, I was the only brother in the office. So what the LPO did was he made a conscious decision that, hey, every hour we're going to change the station to R&B or rap, hard rock, and country.
Hmm.
Before I knew it, I was loving Shania Twain, Garth Brooks, Red Hot Chili Peppers, um, all AC/DC. I got a love for all of it because I
Hey,
was,
Creed.
yeah, oh, absolutely. I was,
Creed
and I don't
different.
want to
Creed
say
don't count. Creed different.
you, yeah, you're right. But I would say I wasn't necessarily forced to listen to the music, but hell, I was sitting there, and so I'm like, maybe this all right, this all right. So next thing you know, you may be in the car with me, and my playlist would be all over the place, and you look at me like, what? How you go from this to that? Because I love it
Hmm.
all, and that was because of being on that submarine.
Yeah, yeah. That's good stuff, man. Because I never asked you those questions. I don't want to get too deep because, Ty might want to do something else later on and dive a little deeper into that submarine world.
Okay.
But talk about your experience teaching at YMPN school.
So teaching the YMP in school, it's something about teaching anybody, but especially specifically we talking about the sailors, right? Teaching them something and watching them and that light bulb go off. That was a great moment for me. But the best moments for me was after I've taught several classes, I'll get an email, Chief, I made it. Chief, I picked up first class. Chief, I picked up second class, first time up. So those emails saying thank you, I learned some things from your class, really did something for me. So when I got commissioned and was getting ready to go, I'm thinking, can I do another year? Because I traveled, I went to Millington, I taught there. So it was a really good experience. And the other good thing is my co-teacher, she didn't like teaching, so I taught the whole thing all the time, and I, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I figured that they're more gravitated to somebody, oh, down south boy, but he breaking it down where they can understand it and the memorization part of it too.
So now here's the other thing, JP, is I was supposed to be the smartest in the class, but I learned something from a lot of those kids as well. You know what I mean? So having to teach something, you try to ensure that you know everything, but you don't, right? And so luckily I was humble enough to say, hey, I didn't know that, and that allowed them to teach me something I didn't know, right? So I learned
Hmm.
something as well. Yeah, I was leading it, the instruction. However, I did learn as well. So it made me smarter when I left. Hell, even to be an admin LDO. So from the things I remember from teaching that course and some of the things the students taught me.
Right, right, right. Okay.
You back with us,
So
Ty?
yeah, I think I am. I hope I am.
Gotcha. My bad, JP. What you got?
I was going to ask you, one of our homeboys, JG, when he got commissioned, he went to Fork and Knife School. He from Houston.
Right.
And he said, going through Fork and Knife School, they told him he was the worst student ever because he had no etiquette. So I want to know how Monroe was with that class.
So when JG went through, he went through prior to me, right? Yeah, I think we was in the same year, but he went through prior to me. And if y'all, I don't know if y'all remember, hell, y'all probably didn't care, but at that time, they said, hey, we're going to change the structure of the class. And what they did was they paired up, old first classes and chief that are made LDO and put them with newer sessions. And they tried to treat it more like boot camp. And it really, it kind of sucked. Why? Because they were teaching LES, the interaction between the LPO and the chief, the interaction between the admin officer and the chief. All that stuff, right? We could have led this class, but of course the newer sessions didn't know that. So we were in basically kind of a barrack setup. We were marching, so we were more focused in trying to ensure and leave feedback that did not work. So the etiquette piece of it, they had kind of took that piece out of the how to act in the wardroom, things of that nature, because they was really focused on getting these newest sessions. They would really focus on getting the newest sessions ready to go to the fleet and being
Hmm.
ready to be leaders, and they was using us to kind of do that. But what they ultimately did, I think, and I don't know if they still have that construct, is we made a recommendation that, hey, maybe we do join up, but for the first 2 3 weeks, y'all teach them that basic boot camp stuff, and y'all still teach us that etiquette stuff that we may need to know to be LDO. and then join up at some point, right? But unfortunately, we were the second class to go through that new style, and we did not like it.
That sounds
So,
terrible.
yeah, the first class that went through it basically just was, they were, I ain't gonna say rebellious, but as rebellious as you could be as future officers, right? And what they taught us was that, hey, yeah, it's probably not good, but use you guys as words versus being rebellious to leave the feedback. And we did that.
So were you like robotic where you had to go to chow hall and sit and all eat at the same time? And was it that
Absolutely.
bad?
Yeah,
Oh man.
we marched the same cadence. Yeah, the only time you kind of had where you're not it wasn't in a structured environment is when we were off, let's say after 6 o'clock. After we ate that last chow, after chow, we can go and do what we kind of want to do. But even then, they tried to limit you going on and off base to after a certain point, right? So it was very different than when I went through than when JG went through.
Okay.
And speaking of JG, I'll never forget, man. I was still a chief. JG, I didn't know if JG knew I worked, right? And I'm sitting in the office. He heard I had got my commission, and he brought me a belt buckle. He said, "Hey man," he had got his commission. He said, "Hey man, here's your belt buckle, man. Welcome." Gave me a old hug, man. I felt good, man. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
JG a good guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
He a good dude. Real good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just be cheering for the wrong basketball team, but he a great dude.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody got their flaws, Cowboy
Nah,
fans.
yeah.
Okay.
But hey, man, let's get to the business. You retired in 2018.
Right.
Why? And I know you still had legs to go, I'm sure.
Right.
22 years. What made you decide to retire?
So I'll tell you, this was probably the worst part of my career. All right, and what I mean by that is this: I almost went through a little depression. It's because I was told the feedback was I went back to back short duty. Right, I worked for one admiral in Kings Bay. Another admiral wanted me by name, said, "Hey, you need to come here," and I'm like, "Hey, that's going to hurt my career." And it actually ended up doing so. I didn't get selected for lieutenant commander, so I was pretty much told I needed to go home. So that was so you're talking to a guy that made chief in 8 years, right, and got commissioned first time up to saying, "Hey, it's time for you to go home." I'm like,
Wow.
me, right? And so that was pretty tough for me to fathom. However, it was good, right? Because I walked right into a really, really good job. I was able to spend more time with my mom and dad, right? And so here was, I got to share this piece. The hardest person, and I love my dad, right? The hardest person to tell was him. So I didn't tell him for a long time until I was going to have to, right? And so I'm sitting on the couch. I got probably about 10 more days before I retire. Out the blue, my dad called and said, "Hey, man, I've been sitting back thinking, man, you had a really successful career. Man, you made chief, you became an officer, man. It's time to come on home and get out." I said, "Well, I actually got something I got to tell you." And he was like, "Man, done nothing to hold your head down for." So it was people like Big Hop, my dad, and some other friends, man, that helped me get through that point. But that's the reason I got out as a lieutenant.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow, man. Because in your mind, how far do you think you was gonna You think you was gonna make captain? That was the goal, or because you making chief at 8 years, and I know on the sub is different, but then you picked up LDO right away.
So honestly and truly, I had aspirations to be the first black Mick punter, right? Because I made chief fairly quick, all right? And so that's what I was thinking in my mind I was going to do, until the senior chief sat me down and showed me the difference in retirement between an E9 and a 04, and I was like, something to consider, right? But you don't always do things for money. But the opportunity presented itself. I had a good friend. His name is Darren Malone. I'm sorry, not a good friend. He's from Louisiana, and he was, when I was in the yards, his submarine was next to mine, and he came over and he's like, "Hey man, I'm selected. You ought to put in because our careers mirror one another." I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna be the first black Nick." "No, man, you need to be LDO, man. You need to be LDO." And the reason I became an LDO is he went upstairs, took his package to my XO, left off the boat. I get a call, "Chief Lewis, you putting in for LDO." Click. I guess I'm putting in for LDO, right? And so So even then, with thinking forward, I said I was going to do 25 years and get out as a lieutenant commander. I didn't have at that point, you know how people say, yeah, you're working for half pay, so on and so forth, right? You hear that, and so I'm like, I'm working for half pay. I think 25 would be a nice solid leg, but end up getting out at 22. Yeah, yeah. I didn't think I was going to try to make captain. That's a long time. You talking
Okay,
30
okay.
plus years and getting out now. You're
30 plus years.
48 instead of 38. You know what I mean? I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So at what point, like, like you made that decision to say, hey, I'm getting out, or
Yeah, the Navy made that
what you
decision.
got? The Navy made that decision.
Yeah.
How much time you had left at that point? At that point, how much time did you have left?
So the way it works in the officer world, right, is you have to you probably hear the word FAS, fail to select or whatever the case may be. So if you don't select, right, you get a couple of chances. You get a below zone look, you get an end zone look, and then you get an above zone look. After that above zone look, if you don't make it after that, you get 9 months and you're gone. Period. So, but in that you once you get the end zone look, it's highly unlikely that you will pick up in the above zone look. It happens, but it's highly unlikely. So you already in your mind prepare yourself. If I don't make it in my end zone look, I'm probably gone in a year and a half. So once I got the notification that I didn't make it in my above zone look, I basically got my retirement orders.
So when you got that, so you knew you're 9 months out.
Wow.
Were
Right.
you kind of already preparing
Oh yeah,
before then? Because you
I
said
was
you had
already buying suits
yeah.
because I didn't make it in my end zone look, right. And so that I was working for a 3-star, really good guy. He was ready to write letters and do all this extra stuff. I'm like, hey man, if I didn't make it in my mind on my own merit, I don't need you to be writing and doing some special stuff. And I was good because I was prepared, right? And luckily I was in DC. So strategic systems programs, its majority is military ran. I'll give you this. So it's about 500 people at the headquarters. Only 90 are military. So it's military led but civilian ran. With that being said, so I'm bumping elbows and rubbing elbows with high folk at Lockheed Martin, L3, General Dynamics. So now I'm rubbing elbows with these folks. So once they heard I didn't select it, hey Marcus, you let me know if you need a job. You let me know you need a job. And for anybody getting ready to retire, you hear that helps your mind go at ease because we all know when you get ready to retire, everybody can tell you all day, hey man, don't worry about it. You can get a job. Until you get it, your anxiety still is up. But for these folks that I know that could, get me a job, to tell me, let me know what you need, it lowered my anxiety. You know what I mean? So luckily, I was here in DC.
Man, that's good
Good. That's
information,
good
man.
stuff.
So, based off your timeline period, like you didn't have a lot of time, but you kind of figured it out. Like you didn't make it end zone.
Right.
You like, hey, like you said, I got 18 months. How did you start preparing? Like, hey, I got to get ready to get out. And what were you doing? Or did you know anything? Did you talk to anyone? Like, what was your movement at that point?
Fantastic question, Todd. So just like in the military, we get mentors and we find folk that are successful and try to mirror them or talk to them and get some coaching from them. A guy, in fact, I think he was a retired master. He said, hey Lou, man, you get into the last 2-3 years in your military career, you need to start getting some mentors that are outside of the military. Some mentors that are working in some of these organizations that you may want to work in. You need to start networking. So I got a LinkedIn page, right? And took me a couple of pictures, went and bought me some suits. And now I'm talking more with the folk that are coming in the office to, I'm setting all the bosses meeting up. And, I'm shucking and jiving with them, right? And talking. And so, that being said, I got those mentors that said, hey man, start working on your resume. How close are you with your master's degree? Things of that nature to prepare me so when I walk out, I have, not just the bachelor's, I got, some PMP or I got a master's degree, or I got something else to kind of put me a little bit higher in selection than the next person that's retiring from the military, right? So with that, that's what was the first thing I did was start getting me some civilian mentors, right? I still had my military mentors, but I didn't talk to them as much because the road was over for me for this military path. And so, regardless, we may go into the military, but we coming back out at some point,
Yeah.
right? And so, I got those civilian mentors that kind of coached me and helped me. And now, which leads me to this resumes, right? I wrote my first one, gave it to a SES buddy. He just gave back to me and said, "Try again,
Try again. Chop that thing all up.
try again." And I'm like, "Yeah, I gave it my best shot." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so at that point, I have reached out to some other folk that were civilians, and although they wasn't professionals, they had wrote many resumes. And my fact, I got to give a shout out to Tanita Ramsey. I gave her my resume, and let's just say she turned that bad, smelly stuff into gold. She
Yeah.
really did, right? And so the other good information or a good recommendation I got was, now government resumes are only 2 pages, but back when I first interviewed and was going for the job, it could be as long as you wanted. You can put all of your military experience on it. Now it's two, right? But even in that, for the civilian or the non-government jobs, it was limited to 2. But somebody say, "Hey, look, no, you need to still write that long master resume, because as you start, applying for jobs, different jobs are going to require different experiences and different things. So now you still have this master resume, right, with maybe 4 or 5 pages, and you look at that job announcement or whatever you're applying for, and you tailor those experiences to 2 pages to fit that job." So that was a really good piece of advice, because then it prevents you from having to keep writing a resume for this job, writing a resume for that job. Now you just got it all ready to go, and you cut and paste to fit this specific job announcement.
I bet going back to like the resumes, you probably like you didn't seen and written so many evals or fit reps in your day.
Right.
In your mind, you like, oh yeah, writing this resume, it'll
I
be a
got
walk in
this.
the park. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Right.
But as you've seen, it's a different writing style and there's different information that goes on a resume
It really is.
compared to an eval.
And I'll go as far to say, I'm not going to make the resume recommendation that you should get it, pay for it to get done. I'm not going to say that. However, if you don't have access to folk that know how to do it, I may make that recommendation, because this is the piece of paper that you're going to put in front of somebody, and that's all they're going to see, right? And they're going to judge you based off of grammatical errors, format, and all these different things. And so that piece of paper, you need to put your best foot forward, because that's the first thing they're gonna see of it. You know what I mean? Before they even see you submitting a resume, and they just looking through these papers and trying to figure out, is this person a good person? Well, they're gonna, just like what we would do. We look, damn, he didn't put a period there. He didn't even spell that right. You know what I mean? So I would definitely let as many people as you can lay eyes on it, all right, and find those people that are good at writing a resume. Because I wasn't, and I was a yeoman and an admin officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's good information to know. Because we hold y'all like the top notch of echelon when it comes to administrative stuff. It's like, hey, that's a yeoman. A YNC or a LDO. It's like, hey, they know their stuff.
Right.
So you got to respect it. But that resume writing is something totally different. And I
Absolutely.
know you spoke about LinkedIn as well. And I think a lot of good connections can be made on LinkedIn. Make sure you have your profile right. Not nothing that something to say that you have a professional look about yourself and you're about some business. So
Right.
I really give a lot of credit to that web platform.
And
Helping
I'll
people
tell you,
get jobs.
Ty, I was very surprised that of how many hits that I did get on LinkedIn. Right? Like, hey, I saw your resume on LinkedIn, or I saw your profile on LinkedIn. Would you be interested in the job, or whatever the case may be? So
Yeah.
now I don't know what I don't know. Social media changes, right? I don't know, something may be hotter now, but whatever that platform or that social platform it is at this time that promotes job, ensure that you put your profile on there and make it professional, and you'll be surprised. You may get hits from that, right? And I did. I turned a lot down because I already had a job, right? And it wasn't.
Yeah.
So it works.
Right. So you rolled right out retirement and went right into work?
So
Like, was it-
I worked at a place initially called JRC, and I worked there for about 8 months, and I'll tell you that that's gotta kind of leave it to what other thing is. So interviewing for that job, it was something that I really have never done, which we would call the regulator. And what we would do is we would ensure that echelon one, two commands, whatever they did to support the nuclear deterrent, that they were prepared to do that. So we would go and say, okay, hey, not just tomorrow, but 5 years, you got to look 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. Are you guys still going to be able to support the nuclear deterrent mission? And if you can't, it's your job to come now and tell us, hey, we're going to need more money, because we had to advocate to Congress, right, for things that, hey, runways, infrastructure, whatever the case may be. I'm an admin officer. That wasn't really under my thing, right? But the reason I got hired there is because of the high level of officers that you may have to talk to. I'm talking to a 3-star every day. I'm talking to execs every day of these organizations. Obviously, he probably can talk, right? So I got hired based on that, not my experience, because I didn't have any experience at ensuring or figuring out how this organization going to support the NMD, Navy, the nuclear deterrent mission, right? So now, with that being said, I did sell myself short. And so, not knowing, right, I did a little research, reading, market value, you don't give, whatever the case may be. But in my mind, I figured, at the time, I said, I need at least 100K, right? So I'm sitting up in an interview, and he's talking about these different things, and getting to know one another, and answering these questions. And, of course, finally we get to the numbers. So what are you looking at? I'm thinking at least 100K. He said, 100K?
Yeah.
He said, oh, he turned around. He said, what does a GS 13 step 5 mean? I don't know. I don't have a clue about GS World. I don't know. So on my phone,
Yeah.
oh, that's 125. How does 125 sound? So I could have, at that time, I could have shorted myself $25,000. So ensure that you are telling your folk that when you go in there, understand what the market value is for your experience, and do not sell yourself short. Overshoot. They can bring it back down. But if he wasn't a retired military person, he could have said, oh, and use that 25,000 for something else, right? Because I said 100,000, right? So that's one of the mistakes that I was fortunate enough for someone across from me being honest and have worn the same uniform I'm sitting in front of them and didn't shortchange me.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yes,
real.
sir.
Yeah, that's real. You need to repeat that because I
Yeah, that was
It-
good
it-
because a lot of
it-
people
it-
wouldn't even told you
Right,
about it. They
absolutely.
just would have kept that money. Yeah.
Absolutely, and used it some kind of way else, or I don't know what kind of budget the guy had. He could have said, well, we was budgeted to give him 25. Well, I can put an extra 5 in mine, another 5 over here, or whatever the case may be. But again, now that makes me sit back and say I should have said 130, right? But
Right.
at that point, hell, I'm walking out with my chest out. I knew I got a job as soon as I get out. So, yeah, I worked at JRC, which was a very good small company. Worked over there for about 9 months, and so
Lou, to your point about that anxiety when you're getting out and stuff. So you're right. You just I can survive off 100K. With retirement coming in and get a little disability. I can probably survive off 100K, not knowing your worth was more than that. You just
right.
that anxiety had you like I take that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jay. And so, as we've all heard this before, but I will repeat it just in case. Is when you're calculating that stuff, you don't calculate your retirement, your VA, you don't calculate anything. That has nothing to do with what you're going to pay me for what I'm going to bring to this company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but again, I was lucky. But you're right. That anxiety make you kind of go ahead and bite. You know what I mean? And so.
I think
They
all
get
of us are
anxiety
like
shit
that
like that.
because when you retire, you're looking for, you get out and get a job. You really don't know what you're worth. Honestly,
That part.
you really don't know until like maybe after the first job or maybe the second job, you're like, oh, I see why they hired me. They didn't hire me because I have experience doing this particular job. They just hired me of my experience for coming to work on time and showing up and being accountable. And
Exactly.
having some sort of knowledge of dealing with people, interacting with people, being able to present information to people, whatever it may be. that's what they really hired me for. Where
Absolutely.
and you see it once you get into them job and the position, you're like, oh wow, okay, I see why.
As,
And
as, as a matter of fact, Ty, the other thing is, that I would say the data shows that that women kind of usually fall to this, right? Where you can say most, a lot of men don't. Let's say the job advertisement said, "Hey, we need you to know and have the experience to do these 10 things." So that advertisement that I applied for, I think I had 4 of them out of 10, but I knew I could do those 4 really well, and I knew I can learn the other 6. So get me in the door and talk to me. I'll try to convince you, dude. I'll figure that other stuff out. A lot
yeah,
of men, most men, like I said, a lot of men will do that. They'll say, "Hey, I got some of the qualifications. I'll figure the other out." Whereas a lot of times women don't. They got to have 8 out of 10 before they apply. What I'm gonna tell you is apply,
Wow.
apply,
wow, yeah,
because if you don't apply, the answer is no. All right, and
Hmm.
so you get through the door. Now they talking to you, and you're like, "Well, I got experience at these 4 or 5 things, but I'll learn these 2, 3 things. I'll learn."
right,
And with how you talk to them and convince them that they're like, "Yeah," and just like you said, Ty, they really hiring you too based on reliability, right? You know what I
reliability.
mean?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, you smart enough. Hey, I know you did 20 plus years in an organization. You dedicated. I know you're
Correct.
dedicated, and you can be dedicated to my organization too if we
Loyalty.
treat you right.
Exactly.
Loyalty. That's it.
Yep.
That's all it
Exactly.
boils down to.
Yep.
It's just loyalty, and you see it once you there. You see it. So how like what type of feeling? I know you spoke about the anxiety. Like, did you did it come right away, or you still dealing with it, or does it mellow? Being mellowed out. Like, hey, I'm out. I've been a part of an organization for 22 years,
Right.
and now, I'm sure you've been out, since 2018. But
Right.
at that moment in time, it was just like, dang, I was a really part of the Navy, and now I'm associated, but not associated.
So I mean, so Ty, I'll tell you that's a topic that I probably could spend 10 minutes on, but I'm gonna try to wrap it up in 5. Right. So here it is. As a black man, in our minds, especially being from the South, we've all been taught that you have to do 110, right? You just got to do 100. You got to be almost perfect, right? So being on the submarine where there wasn't many of us, I was always ensured that I was, one, you don't have to tell me what to do, how, any of that. I tried to always anticipate what work we had, right? So now I made up through the ranks. I'm the leading yeoman. So I'm at work 6 in the morning, a whole hour before my guys get there. I'm looking at emails, trying to anticipate what's going to happen, trying to make sure I take care of my guys. And like, okay, I'll go home and think, well, what I got to do tomorrow. Okay, shoot, I got this coming up, got this coming up. Okay, and then I make chief. Oh, okay, I make chief. And now everybody looking at me, and I got to be smart. I got to be know everything. And did the XO email me and I didn't catch it? So all that was anxiety. And in my mind, at that particular time, it's what you're supposed to do to ensure you're on top of your stuff, right? Well, not necessarily. You shouldn't be off work thinking about tomorrow all of the time, or trying to ensure you there early and leaving later than everybody else to ensure you don't miss nothing or anything, right? So that now I recognize that was anxiety then. Then I make officer, right? And now, especially when I was over in Japan, I was over like a $6, $7 million. No, it's like $10, $20 million budget, and so I got a BlackBerry. Anytime that BlackBerry went off, I'm looking at it. It could have been at 2 in the morning. I'm picking it up because I had customers in Hawaii, right? So I couldn't miss them, right? So I looked at it, even though I probably wasn't going to get up and do anything. I knew once I got to work at 6 in the morning, I was already ready, therefore, to take care of it because I knew about it. But at 2 or 3 in the morning, it was going to be okay. But at the time, again, now I recognize there was anxiety, right? And so, and then now I'm a senior GS worker, right? It's still I still think about those things, and recently I did get diagnosed with anxiety, right? But at the
Okay.
time, I didn't necessarily recognize it. So that anxiety shows its head in different areas, right? So just like all of us when we was getting ready to get out, everybody probably told you, "Hey man, you're gonna get a job."
Yeah.
The only thing that prevented my anxiety from being as bad as it was when I was in charge and had to be number one and had to always was at that time I didn't have a family, right? I didn't have a wife, kids, or anything. So at the end of the day, I could have ate ramen noodles every day. I may not have wanted to, and even then, being from Monroe, Louisiana, I could have took that retirement in my little VA and went to Monroe and lived like a king. But that's not what I wanted. So I still had anxiety, right? But it wasn't as bad because I wasn't looking across from a wife or a kid or something and saying, damn, I still want to keep them on the same level of living that I had when I was in the military. So the anxiety was there, but it wasn't as bad because no one was looking at me to take care of them. I only had to fend for myself. But all of my other friends that have had families or whatever, when they were getting around, I could even JP, I said, JP, man, you gonna get a job. Man, I know, man, but
Yeah.
I mean, again, until you get that offer, your anxiety is going to be up. You just got to be able to prepare and get yourself in position so when that call happens, you're ready to roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
Yeah, I'm
if
glad
you
you
look
mentioned
at it
that.
like, okay, go ahead, JP. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to your point about, that anxiety with getting a job, because all the way up until my retirement, bro, if y'all hadn't showed up and told me, you cutting your own legs off, you selling yourself short, bro. I was about to take something around like 65, bro.
No, right.
You know,
Yeah.
because I didn't know no better. Y'all pretty much slapped me around, and say don't do that, and I made the right choice, and then, it turned out good for me. You know what I mean? But having friends like you guys, mentors, like you said earlier, people that's already in the industry that's doing stuff. That's why you need to talk to people out there that's already, been in this world, after the retirement, been in the civilian sector, know what your worth is, know how to look at a
Absolutely.
resume and bump it up to what it needs to be to make sure you don't sell yourself short. Because like you said earlier, you said them 10 things on that list and you know three of them real well. Well, if you really, really think about your 20 years of service, you probably done did about seven, eight of them already. You just don't remember them because you just
Right.
remember what you did as an officer or as a chief. You probably
Right.
did that as first class, but you don't remember it. But you think about it real, real hard. You're like, man, I did do all of this stuff before. So
Exactly.
it's just, we try to wrap everything up until like our last 5 years, and we done so much in those 20 years. We have to dig deep and think about what's really on your resume.
Absolutely.
I
Nah,
think
that was good.
also what you said when you were like, you knew you were at your command and you knew that you were going to be forced to retire. If you would have allowed your anxiety, depression, if you would have allowed any of that to invade at that point, all of those paths and offers could have been snatched away if you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have stayed the course at that time and
Oh, absolutely.
kept focused on, okay, like it's easy sometimes to be told no and
Yep.
crawl
Absolutely.
in
Absolutely.
sync, but to stand in the no and still be who you were is what makes the people, especially when you work in a command like that. I told people when I was at PERS all the time, like that we're going to retire there. You can't you can't suck and try to retire here.
Mm.
You have
Yeah,
to, like, no matter how bad it is,
Mm.
these are the people you're going to want a job from.
they
Right.
watching. They
And
watching.
Absolutely.
right, and so being able to take on all of those things that you took on, knowing your end, probably assisted you, and it made people reach out to you and be like, hey, like, you're gonna get a job, we're gonna, it'll be all right, call him over there, we'll call them over there, like, it'll be great. Whereas if you would have crumbled, it may not have went that way.
So it's it's funny you say that, but because once the contractor job at GRC, although I was employed by GRC, I still worked in the organization of strategic systems programs every day. So they saw me in uniform and working, and then they saw me as a civilian working, and of course regardless of what I may have had going on at home or how I was feeling at work, let's get it right. And so how I got this job, walking. So my plan was, and I did what I said I was going to do. I finished the masters, and I was going to work at GRC for a year, and then I was going to head off to Texas, right? And so it was working. I was already 8 months in that plan, and a gentleman walked up to me and said, "Hey, Marcus, man, I'm thinking about taking a different route, and the only person in the building I know that has the experience at being manpower and manning is you. Uh, you're interested in my job?" And I say, "No, man. I'm doing pretty good at JRC, and I'm gonna finish this out, and I'm gonna go on over to Texas. What's the pay grade?" He said, at the time, GS 14. Made me think twice. So I was like,
Then you was about to cut yourself short again.
again. I'm glad I asked the question. So that's how I ended up here. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's one thing that one little tool that was passed to me. I want to ensure before we hit our 7:30 that I pass on to, and it helped me out as well because I'm sorry. Before I do that, did you have anything else, Ty, for me?
Oh, I got plenty. Go ahead. We ain't got. I mean, I'm on
Okay.
your time.
Okay.
I ain't even close to being done. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me get this out while
Yeah.
it's kind of on my mind. So as I put the resume out there, and I was applying for khaki, everybody, right? All these different organizations, government, civilian, all of it, right? And so my owner gave it to me. He said, "Hey, man, Marcus, so how you gonna figure out which job you're gonna take?" Because I was getting calls, right? I was getting calls and interviews, whatever. He said, "Man, you need to figure out a filter to be able to run these things through." I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" So he said, "Man, you need whether it's 2, whether it's 5, whatever it may be, you need to list out the things that are most important. Is it location? Is it the amount of money? Or is it the what?" So what he mean by the what was, are you going to continue to be an admin officer and go down the road that you've already traveled in the Navy? Or are you going to try to do something new, learn a new trade, whatever it is, what order that's in? So I sat back and I said, okay, what I put it in order is location. That was the first thing. In my mind, you give me the right amount of money, I can do it in any location. But my locations, number one was Texas, number two was DC, and number three was the Norfolk area. Right, I had property down there, so it just made sense to go back down there. And so that was the number one, and then the number two, based on the location, I said DC, 100,000, Norfolk 85,000, Texas 75,000, right? And then the what is, hell, what else? Yeoman, admin officer, government credit card coordinator, DTS, whatever the things I've done in my past, it didn't matter, right? And so that way, once I got an interview, did it meet the location? No, this was in Nebraska. Don't waste their time. Don't waste your time. You got another one, 90. It didn't meet, even though it was in DC, it didn't meet the money round. So it allowed you to have these filters in place because you're gonna get those interviews, you're gonna get the calls, you're gonna get the offers, and so on and so forth. But don't waste your time, waste their time, and waste your time because it didn't meet those three filters that you put in place. So I used that, and it actually worked, and because it cut down on who I even called back. Right? Once I saw what the offer's going to be, or even, "Hey, what are you looking at?" "Oh, no, don't worry about the interview because it's not in one of these three places, right?" So it helped me, and like I said, I wanted to share that because I thought it was pretty neat too.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty good that you put it together like that because you're going to get plenty of job offers.
Yes.
But you have to figure out which one is best for you. And
Correct.
I know majority of the time, it's people out here that had like 3 or 4 jobs within a 2-year period because they
Right.
just can't figure out what they want to do, where they want to be, what their purpose is.
Priorities, analysis, paralysis, too many options can also
Yeah.
be too many options.
Yeah.
I used to tell people, the more you touch fruit, it rots.
Okay.
Same with
I like
bread.
it.
If you touch bread, you've introduced something outside source, you rot it. So as you touching all of the stuff, you're rotting it and you're not really getting where you need to be. So kind of what you just said, get your priorities, your filters together. That
Right.
way you're not wasting your time over here and messing it up when you're not even supposed to be in this aisle of the grocery store. You're supposed to be way over there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You're
like
over
it.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and Ty,
And that's
Steve-
where a lot of that anxiety come from too. A lot of it comes from like decision making. A lot
Yes.
of it comes from
Yes,
decision making.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So those filters help me make a decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny what you said about some of the folk may have had 2 and 3 jobs in a 2-year period, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a saying in my office that the best time to look for a job is when you got a job.
That one. Yeah. 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 That's a fact.
And so,
That's
hey,
a fact.
you know, you-
That's a fact. Why was Texas so high on your list? Like, what was bad about Texas? I mean, I know the perks that they talk about, but why was it high on your list?
so I'm from Monroe, Louisiana, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I said Texas, it was going to be either Dallas, maybe Houston, but I would have preferred the Dallas area. Why? I have a brother and a sister there. It's only a 3.5-hour drive from Monroe. I had plenty of classmates. So when you're from Monroe, Louisiana, a lot of folk gonna go either east to Atlanta or west to Dallas or west to Texas, right? And so it was a familiar place because I have gone there many times throughout my childhood, adulthood, and so on and so forth. So I was familiar with Dallas. And like I said, now one of my dear best friends there, which is our man JP's mutual friend. And so it was, and then, you know, from my understanding, Texas was nice to veterans, right? And so
Yeah.
in regards to, I think, taxes and some other things. So that was why Texas was high on my list.
But up in the D.C. area, like that whole, I know Virginia sucks with taxes. Like this place, don't get me started. But and I understand why, because there's so many veterans here in the Virginia area, so they got to get their money somehow, some way. So I get
Right.
it. But you being up in that area, that D.C., because it's a little bit more expensive up there in the Northern Virginia, D.C. area,
It is.
and you like. 'Cause some people say, "Oh, I can't retire there. I don't want to retire there because it's too expensive." But you
Right.
found comfort in there with a secure job, and I guess. it
Well,
was
also,
working out.
also met my wife there, so that made me stay put too.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. That all makes sense.
That'll
It
do
all
it.
makes sense.
Yeah, so it made me stay
so,
put too.
So even with the transition with family, how was it for them? Like, cause you said you didn't, really have a family till later in your career.
So that wasn't a transition for them because that didn't happen until I won't say well into business again. I was at GRC? No, I was already at SSP by the end. So that
Okay.
was
Okay.
a year and a half
Okay.
too, right? So
Oh,
that
they didn't
wasn't
even experience none of the Navy life.
none of it, man.
None of
You
it.
know,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how that would have been for me.
Yeah.
The dad I had, it would have probably prevented me from being the dad I had.
Mm.
Right, and so, and I'm not saying that stopped me, right?
No.
But that was one of the factors of saying, and plus, I used to shake and move a little bit when I was.
Hey, bro, you live your life, my boy. Live your life. Live your life, man. Live your life.
Shake
Live
and
your
move.
life.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just telling my truth. This is a safe space,
This
right?
is safe space, dog.
Yeah,
It ain't nothing but me, you, Danya, and JP on here.
Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
safe space, but yeah, man. So I had a little fun.
Nah, hey man, and that's being honest. Like, hey, you wasn't ready for that. You was enjoying your life. Hey, as a single man, in the Navy, doing your
Yeah.
thing, and one day you said, hey, I'm growing up. I need to
Yeah.
settle down with a family.
It's time.
But how is that for you? Because been single for a long time. But I'm sure you dated
But
some women.
it wasn't a bad transition for me because it wasn't like, damn, I got to give up the player card or anything because it wasn't anything like that, right? It was, but because now I can make roots. I don't have to be dragging my family every 2 and 3 years somewhere, right? I don't have to pull kids out of school and things of that nature. Although kids are very resilient,
Yeah.
it's, hell, I don't want to be moving with them and meeting new friends and they got it and all that kind of stuff like that. So it wasn't a bad transition for me at all. And let's just be honest about it too. I was older, right? I was
Yeah,
42,
yeah.
something like, I was 42. I didn't have my first son. I didn't have my son until 40. I'm 49 now, so Micah's excuse me, I'm sorry. He's 45.
45.
I'm
Oh wow.
49. I'm 49
Yeah.
now, so Micah's 4, right?
Yeah,
So I was older, so
yeah.
I was still
So-
spry. Don't
God,
get me wrong.
God bless your soul.
Yeah, I'm listening, bro. Like, how is that for you? Like, because a lot of us, like, I got grandkids. Like,
Okay.
like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
11 and 6,
Okay.
So how is that for you? Like, being an older father, you
Right.
have nothing to compare it to, but it's just like, wow, I'm older now. I got this responsibility. Like, this
So
young man
of
counsels
course,
me every day.
if I could have done it earlier,
Uh-huh.
and just honest again, safe space, I know my time is limited with him, right? So that's the other than that, but I have resources to expose to him, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave him a legacy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so and I'm more wiser, right? Because at 25, I don't know what kind of dad I'd have been at 25,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so
Right.
at 42, I, yeah, I was definitely ready. And then now that I have a 4-year old, well, now that keeps me in the gym because when we go to school and they have a push-up contest, dad is still ready to do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And
He's
so
still ready to
and
go.
I don't want to ever, get to a point where you're
Yeah.
like, well, daddy, can you come run with me? And I'm like, well, I'm old. No, I'm gonna do it as long as I physically can. So that makes me I won't say it makes me younger, but it makes me hold on to my youth a little longer, if I can put it that way.
That's
For
what's
sure.
up. A good friend of mine, he retired warrant officer. His wife was a retired lieutenant, and they had kids late. But they both retired, moved down to Texas, and they living their best life. And he said, man, it feels so good. Not, I can, whatever my kids got going on in
Yeah,
school, I'm always there. He said, I'm not missing. I'm never missing an event. And it's
right.
hard, compared to us that had kids while serving.
Absolutely.
You missing a lot of stuff,
Yep.
So, but it's good that he's able to like raise his kids and be there with them every single day and not
Yeah.
miss nothing.
It's
So,
it's
yeah.
it's a plus, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's funny. His mom say he ain't gonna like me, but simply because she retired, he can't sneak and do nothing because she gonna
Yeah.
be here all the time,
All
right?
the time.
And
Yeah.
That's me.
and same thing with me. Same thing with me is I'm blessed to have a job and say, hey man, my stepdaughter has a graduation or and Micah has or whatever. I won't be here tomorrow, so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
being in that position it is a good feeling. And like I say, the only thing other than the only thing I think about is my time could be potentially limited with him.
That's right. I got you. I
Yep.
got you. I got you. So the VA, how does the VA? Do you go to the VA up there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How does the VA treat you? Like, because a lot of people I hear good, bad stories. How for you? How is it? Because it's
So
different. Because we was always on a schedule with our PFA,
Yes.
PHAs and this dental, blah 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 blah. How is it for you now? Like, where you got to really maintain
So
your medical.
that's the
Yeah.
thing is, matter of fact, it's time for my yearly physical now. They ain't gonna make you go, right? And so you have to stay on it for yourself. Um, I've had a surgery. My primary care is at the VA downtown DC, right? And I do hear some complaints, and not a lot, right? And because behind me is a retired master chief. I'm sorry, retired gunny at the Marines. In front of me is a chief, and they go to the VA. Now they have other doctors too, but they go to the VA for their care. And like I said, I've had surgeries there. Um, all my little tests and everything are done there. The only thing, and I never complained about it, is it's a hangout for veterans. Right? It's a hangout. When I say veterans, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about
Yeah.
old veterans.
Yeah,
Old
yeah. Them
veterans.
older guys, they like to go there.
Right.
Yeah.
So they like sitting on the drinking coffee, talking, and all that kind of stuff like that. It's not like they bums or begging. They're just hanging out,
They just
right?
hanging out.
I hear some people complain about it. I'm thinking, if that's what you're gonna complain about,
Get a
oh my
life.
God.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And they just getting together,
That's it.
That's where they just catch up, tell stories.
That's
Hey, you
exactly.
remember when we,
Yeah.
you remember when
Some of them, matter of fact, some of them sell like little things they make or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They're just there drinking coffee, being social, right?
Yeah.
But now it's not as much. But prior to COVID, pre-COVID, man, when you walk through the lobby, they was there, right?
Yeah.
And hey, what's going
Yeah.
on? Hey, what's going on? But once you got past that, you went on up to your doctor or whatever whatever you had going on. So I hadn't had any complaints.
Okay.
My son was born at Bethesda,
Okay.
that hospital there, right? But yeah, I get my care there.
Okay. Do you have TRICARE or do you use both? Or
Yeah.
You have
I
both.
still- I
Okay.
have TRICARE.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what I didn't look into is what is it? John Hopkins. I think John Hopkins has a they kind of I'm gonna say solicit, but they try to get a lot of veterans, right?
Oh,
I
really?
never look, and I know some friends that do it, right? And from my understanding is it's kind of limited where like I got one friend, she has to drive from down there where you guys at to up here to get some things done. And so I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. Don't driving two,
Yeah.
3 hours, right? And so,
Yeah.
and I'm not against it, but that was an option. But I looked at the TRICARE, Prime, and that's what I roll with. Now, the dental thing,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the thing that I have to get on track. Because I went to one place and I kind of like them. You try to get, but they have to be in the network, so on and so
They
forth.
gotta be in the network. Yeah.
All that
Yeah.
other good stuff. But
Yeah.
but the medical care, I'm good. And what's the other good thing? Like from the meds, I'm on the Navy Yard. There's a clinic. I can pick the meds up there. My son's primary care is on JBAB. I can pick the meds up there. So or they mail them to you, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
from my perspective, it's pretty convenient.
I agree.
Yeah, because like I said, I have no problems with the VA
Either.
so far.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So far.
But I just ask people the question because I hear people, give stories. And again, you're not going to get your appointment right away because it just happens, and that's why you have the TRICARE as a backup, so that can probably get you in faster. Because
Right.
if you can't get to the VA, and if you're in pain, always go to the acute cares, or if you're
Yep,
close
absolutely.
to a base, you can go there.
Right.
But health is important, especially
Yes.
now as we continue to age. We like, oh
Yes.
wow, we got to make sure we get this exam. We got to make sure we take care of that exam, because there should be no excuse on why you're not taking care of your business if you got the VA there to support
Right.
you. So yeah, again, teachers on. I don't pressure that on people because if you got TRICARE, that's just as good as well. More
No,
personal.
that TRICARE
sometimes, too.
costs though, because
It costs though. It's not free.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, it ain't
that
free.
VA is free.
Free. Yeah, it's free 99. That's
Yeah.
why I take advantage of free 99
Yeah,
all day.
it's TRICARE
Yeah.
costs because I go to a doctor out in town just because that was just the way that it kind of worked out before I retired. They gave me a referral to a doctor out in town so I didn't lose continuity. And now I'm like, hey, I need the VA to pick this up because I'm rated for this, and so I need the VA to either take me to the VA or pick this up because every time I go, it's $45, and I'm like,
co-pays.
I'll be there and I think they just make up appointments. Like, well, we need you to come in. And every time I go in there, it's $45. I said, oh,
Yeah.
whoa, time
Yeah.
out. Hold on.
Right. Yeah.
Can I type something to you? Like, what do you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I gave them like $180 in maybe 6 weeks. I said,
Now
oh,
some
no,
people look at it like it's no big deal, but
I'm cheap.
they add up. Yeah,
Yes.
they add up. Yeah, they add up over time.
Yeah, you
I don't
just
care what
said-
else I
y'all
spend
both just
$190
said
on. Not
something
that.
that interests me is the meds getting shipped to you because I just went and picked up some meds from the TRICARE clinic here in Chesapeake. Yes, that takes time out the day.
Right.
I can
Express
get that stuff
scripts.
mailed.
Express
Yeah,
scripts all
it
day,
come right to me.
right to the house.
Yep.
You have to do something
Right
with
to
the
the
VA to
house.
get that done.
Yeah, Express scripts. Sign up for
Express
it.
scripts.
So
Sign up.
Or your PCM will sign you up for it.
yeah, when I
Okay.
log into my VA med thing, click it and it asks me where I want it. Do I want it mailed? Do I want to pick it up at the hospital? Do I want to pick? It asked me where I want to pick it up. I said, nah, mail me mine.
Yeah. That saves a whole lot of time. Because as I
Absolutely.
learned,
Yeah.
no matter what time you go to the pharmacy, especially in the daytime, where you think, oh, people at work, man, them people in there lined up. Like again, that's
Like
another
that.
And
hangout
they
spot.
close at 4.
That's another
They
hangout
close at 4,
spot,
bro.
bruh. That's another hangout spot. That's why I got to get it mailed, man. I just said I can't do it.
JP, you
can't
be
do it.
picking it up like at the TRICARE clinic in Chesapeake. Look, I'm gonna
Yeah.
put you. I'll put you on. I'll text you. I'm put you on to something because
Yeah.
if I put it out here,
Then everybody know.
I
You talking about getting in line?
no. I was
No.
so I
Okay.
tell
Yeah,
because
okay.
most people ain't gonna do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, and of course, I live on this side of town, but If you go and pick up your medication from Portsmouth Naval Hospital on a Saturday morning, it will take you 4 minutes.
That's the thing. You got to get up Saturday morning to go do it.
They are open
And
Saturdays and they're open late on Fridays. And so I would always use Portsmouth Hospital, and I would either go before they opened the TRICARE Suffolk Clinic. I would use Portsmouth Hospital, and I would either go on Friday afternoons or I would go on Saturday mornings in literally maybe 5 minutes is all it took.
I like
but
that
like you
U.S.
said,
mail.
ain't nobody gonna do that.
Express
Cause
Scripts
ain't
is
nobody
great.
getting up that early. Yeah, Express Scripts is the thing. Yeah, and once you renew it on your phone, it just comes right to the house. Yeah, once you get in rotation, it's simple. It's simple. It's simple. So, hey, Marcus, tell me this, man. What would you have done differently, knowing what you know now about preparing to retire? What would you, just knowing what you know? What was something that you dealt with? You like, man, if I can go back, I would redo this right here.
Honestly, I would have ensured that my medical stuff was intact prior to retiring. Meaning everything documented. Um, I would have ensured that is my I would have yeah I would have took care of my VA stuff.
Right, and that's well before 2 or 3 years
Yes.
out.
Yeah,
You know, you should
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
this is day one stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, if you
yeah,
know what you know now, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because I'll tell you, Ty, unfortunately, being a submariner, and it's probably the same thing in surface world, aviation world. I don't know, but in the submarine world, you only have IDC on board, so you have to kind of be in tip-top medical shape, right? So there were some things that I'm like, I probably need to go get that looked at, but nah. I'm not gonna go get it looked at because that could potentially submarine disqualify me. Now my career's off track and all that kind of stuff like that, right? And so I kind of, you know, probably well some of the stuff I could have pushed off, but there were some things, asthma or whatever the case may be. I just kind of dealt with because I didn't want to get submarine disqualified, right? And so that being said, as when times came up, let's say 2 or 3 years out, I would have kind of went back and said, okay, we need to look at this because this did happen, and it's kind of bothering me now. Just look at it, make sure, or whatever the case may be. But I would definitely been better at documenting everything that I have gone through and make sure I had it looked at prior to getting out.
Okay.
That was something on my second to last sea duty, because again, same, you don't want to get kicked off the ship. So I learned to tell the doctor, he'd be like, well, what do you want? And I'd be like, well, I just would like it annotated. That's it. I know you can't treat it because if you treat it, it's going to require something else. But if we could just annotate that these things are happening, like
Now that's smart,
I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna stay at work and I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
but put it in that record.
But I just would like it annotated that, that these things, like when my neck first started, when they first started figuring out that like all of my spine was collapsing, like I just want to annotate it that, that my neck and I'm starting to get vertigo. But I had to also have a relationship with them so they knew that like if I ever felt like it was getting so bad that I couldn't manage, you know, that I would say something, but they would just document it. Cause
Okay.
cause baby, we're not leaving the boat. Like I'm gonna stay right here.
Right.
Just write it down for me, okay?
Yeah.
Thank
Right,
you.
right. Because just thinking about that, it puts us in bad situations. We like, dang, now I've still got to worry about my career because I'm trying to get, to an ending point. So I got to suck some of this up. But just annotate it, please. Because if I leave here now, for us, Adanya, we only talking about but 2 or 3 shore duty spots in this area. So where you going? If you have to leave,
Away.
yeah. So again, a lot of that, like that anxiety comes from those things because we trying to navigate our career at the same time we trying to help others grow, and it becomes a lot, you know, as we again trying to navigate through all of this. It's a lot on us. It's a lot on us. But Marcus, man, I appreciate you coming through, man.
Absolutely.
And just
I
talking about
enjoyed
it,
it.
chopping it up with us. I definitely got to get you on my other podcast so I can sit down because we got to talk about that whole Submariner life. Is it Submariner or How y'all say it?
Either way, you can say submariner or submariner.
Submariner, because some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
have a heart attack. Like, yo,
but
hey, don't do that.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
I mess with my buddy behind me all the time. I tell him the only real marine is a submarine.
See.
He don't like that.
Yeah, he definitely don't like that.
Right.
But yeah, bro, thanks for coming through, man, and just dropping,
Absolutely.
dropping that knowledge, man, because a lot of information that is going to be needed. It's another Marcus Lewis out there that's about to retire in a year or
Right.
2 years from now, 3 years from now.
Absolutely.
So, and they all need this information that we putting out. So,
Yep.
thanks again, bro.
Okay, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. We'll talk later.
All right.
Oh
man,
yeah,
for
bro.
sure.
I knew it was gonna be a good one. I knew it was gonna be a good one.
Yeah. Oh shoot, he hung up. He probably had to. Hold on. I hope all his stuff
Just-
uploaded.
You still recording?
I'll stop that. Thanks. Good looking out.